Beginning to practice mindfulness also means starting to understand this mysterious thing called the mind. The busy part of our mind is often called monkey mind. We experience monkey mind when our head is filled with thoughts and emotions, when we worry about things, or feel we have so much to do and not enough time. When monkey mind is in the present, it's like a computer that sorts, translates, processes, and brings in useful information. But when it's not in the present, it gets distracted into thinking about the past and the future and making unnecessary judgments. Another part of the mind is the conducting mind. This evaluates and integrates information. It makes sense of information, conceptualizes, and makes decisions. When the conductor is operating well, it acts appropriately and effectively and determines what is true and right. It uses reason and intuition clearly. So when we look closer at monkey mind, we see it has different types of self-talk going on. What we normally call thinking occurs as an inner voice. It's a running commentary or discussion about events in the past, present, or future. It's referred to as self-talk because we're talking to ourselves. It's the voice in the head. You can be especially aware of this voice when you're driving or when you're alone with time to think. The voice can take on a range of attitudes or emotional tones. It can be negative or positive, or perhaps neither, just a neutral commentator. And there can also be times when there is no self-talk. So let's take a look at these different types of self-talk. Negative self-talk occurs when we judge others, ourselves, or events in a negative way. The voice of negative self-talk is critical, and it's picking out what's wrong. It complains that things are not okay. This type of negativity is often about something that can't be changed, so there's a feeling of being a victim. Poor me, look what they've done to me. During negative self-talk, things or people, or even oneself, are just not good enough. This negative self-talk can be very subtle and not even recognized as negative. For example, we can get tense when we're caught in traffic and think we're going to be late for an appointment. We might think it's normal to be anxious and frustrated about being late and don't see that it's negative self-talk operating. Yet there is a feeling that because I'll be late, there will be a bad outcome. The voice is saying they'll think I'm not reliable, or they'll start the discussion before I get there and make a decision I don't like. This is negative self-talk because there's an idea being projected that things will turn out bad or wrong. With negative self-talk, there's a destructive emotional tone. It's like poison being let into you, and it carries with it a bad feeling. Another type of negative self-talk is worry. For example, a man described a situation where his son had borrowed the car. At 1 o'clock in the morning, he was worried that his son had had an accident, so he called his son's friend, who said, "Well, he's left at midnight." The father by now imagined his son was lying somewhere injured or dying. An hour later, the son arrived home, and while the father was relieved, he was really angry. His self-talks and imaginings had got him so worked up that all he could do was shout at his son for not calling him. The son tried to tell his father that his phone battery was dead and that he'd driven his friend home because he didn't want him drink driving. But the father couldn't hear the explanation because he was too distraught and angry. So they both went to bed angry and frustrated with each other. The father's self-talk had overpowered him so much that it caused the relationship to be sour for a few days. And the irony is that the father's reaction was because he loved and cared about his son so much. So you can see how this type of self-talk can work against us. Neutral self-talk is when the mind is commenting in an objective, non-emotional way. It can remind you to pay a bill before it's overdue, where you left your car keys, or what to write in an email. Often it's an automatic response to a situation based on your past conditioning. For example, you walk into a cafe and order a cappuccino because your self-talk says that's what you always order in this cafe. It's automatic thinking. In fact, it's barely thinking at all. Much of the time, neutral self-talk provides useful and relevant information. It's like a computer program that's always running in the background. However, sometimes it can overanalyze and we end up with a situation of way too much thinking and just end up confusing ourselves. And then we come to positive self-talk, which has a happy emotional tone to it. It appreciates the moment and comments about how good things are. Martin Seligman, the leading scholar of positive psychology, reports that positive self-talk and optimism can reduce stress-related disease, promote faster recovery from illness, lower blood pressure, and improve job satisfaction and interpersonal relations. His research shows that people with a more positive outlook are 50% less likely to get a cold or flu virus because they have a healthier immune system. The research also shows that a positive attitude can help us live longer. Later in this session, we'll take you to Martin Seligman's website where you can participate in a range of questionnaires that not only help you analyze your current state of optimism, positivity, and happiness, but they also help you contribute to this valuable body of research. So positive self-talk can also be used to overcome negative self-talk. A person faced with a difficult situation can say to himself, "I've faced situations worse than this and have made it through." Or, "Even though things aren't so good, I still have my health, friends, and family around me." And my personal favorite is, "This too shall pass." Research shows that an increase in positive mood is directly related to becoming more aware of routine daily activities, observing and attending to ordinary life experiences, and functioning less on automatic pilot. In short, positive self-talk can help you to be more mindful. Now let's discuss no self-talk. This occurs when you are fully aware of the present moment, with no inner voice commenting on or judging the situation. The mind during this time is clear and can make decisions calmly and accurately. You would have experienced this at certain times. Many people describe this state and say that time seems to slow down. Their mind is quiet, even during activity, and they find these moments extremely satisfying. Such moments frequently occur while we're doing things like walking in nature, listening to music, doing our favorite hobby, exercising or gardening. Also, times of creativity like painting, singing, dancing, or writing. It's in these moments, with an absence of any self-talk, that we're said to be in flow. So these different types of self-talk are easy to understand, but being aware of how much time we spend in each can be quite a challenge. The next activity is a worksheet for you to estimate how much time you spend on an average day involved in each type of self-talk. Take some time to think this through and make your estimates, and then revisit the worksheet at intervals throughout the course. And if you notice your estimates appear to change for the worse, it may be that now you're just far more aware of what's going on in your mind, and that's a good thing. Because when you're aware of it, you can start to work with it. When we're not aware of what's going on in our mind, we become a slave to its whims.